The missiles will be shot, man, and destroy your kingdom, man. Thus saith the Lord. Joke's on you, clowns. Alright? So back to Jeremiah 49:21. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall. Alright? It's going to move by those missiles. At the cry of the noise that was heard in the Red Sea. So the uttermost part, see, is the Red Sea. Alright? Or the hindermost sea, excuse me, the East Sea is Persian Gulf. The uttermost sea is the Red Sea and the Euphrates River, alright, which is all section in that area in the Middle East where all these troops are being built up. They ain't gonna say that in the American news because they don't want to terrify you simple ass people here, man. You gotta go to the alternative news, or you gotta go to the news outside of America to get these facts that these nations are sending their navies, their warships, doing war drills, everything geared around that area. Around Iran and around that area in the Middle East. Because that's where this war is gonna take place, man. Alright? But the main fact of the matter is that the Israelis is going to be the cause of America getting pulled into this war. Like right now, they think, okay, America has the power because they, you know, they the ones that supply the state of Israel with their money. All right. So in a way, they got some type of control or influence on them Israelis. So they say, nah, man, we're going to make peace with Iran to make them stop with their nuclear facilities, all right, and we'll lift off sanctions because that's what they thought. They thought, okay, well, we're just gonna put sanctions on them, you know, to break them economically wise, and then they will stop dealing with their nuclear thing, and they'll quench this whole fire of war. But the thing is, now war is still in the midst of the air because, help me out, them Israelis want war, man. They still thirsting for blood and war, man. Proving they're not the people of God, man. Alright? Children of Israel, people of peace, man. Alright? That's what the word Jerusalem means. Yerushalayim in the Hebrew, which means a city of peace. Them Amalekites, them Israelis are not peaceful people. They're violent people, man. And violent people. Okay? Alright? So this is the time we're in now. Isaiah 13:17. It says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. Alright, now you say the Medes, like you got this clown, this Japhetic piece of shit that was coming up against me, which now he's ghost. Alright, Waha Allah, alright, Naphtali, some Japhite that's thinking he a Israelite, which he's not. Alright, on this Negroid madness. That's simp, nigga. Alright, he thinking that anytime you see media or things pertaining to Japhet, alright, to Japhet, they think that's them Japhites, man. So this is where the so-called white man will twist, or these niggas that's teaching that the white man is Japhet, because they like to understand that when it's talking about the Medes right there, it's talking about the Russians, because the Russians occupy the lands of the ancient Medes. Alright? Okay? They occupy the lands of the ancient Medians and the ancient the ancient Medes and the ancient lands of Japhet, man. The original Japhites are not in their lands. The original landmass of the Japhites, alright, which would be your Hawaiians, Polynesians, Samoans, Aborigines of Australia, alright, those people of the islands, okay, Filipinos and all them, okay, they're Japhites. Their original landmass was what? All of like Russia, Europe, before they got pushed out through centuries of war and stuff. Now they forced out on the islands, but those are the Japhites, okay. But the Medes, the people that is speaking about in this portion of scripture, is talking about the Russians. It said, I will stir up the Medes against them. What? We seeing that now. The Lord is stirring up the Russians, prudent mainly, against the United States. And they're not holding back. They're not being diplomatic. They're not being kosher or polite. They being straightforward. They said if you proceed to establish this missile shield defense in Poland or in the European nations that's under NATO, if you establish that in their land, we will shoot nuclear missiles on you. If you attack Russia, we will shoot nuclear missiles on you. If you attack Iran, we will shoot missiles on you. You attack Syria, we will go to war with you. And if you want to start using missiles, we're going to fire missiles on you. That's the Lord stirring up the Russians to awaken them to that warlike spirit they had during the time of the Cold War. And like I said, about a month ago, when the protesters broke out in Ukraine, which Ukraine was part of the original SSR, or the Soviet Union, all right, before it broke away from them, all right, the whole thing with them decided either to join the EU or to get back with Russia. I said through the spirit, I said that they was going to link back up with Russia to fulfill prophecy, because all those nations that broke off of Russia, they gonna link back up with Russia. All right. Number one, for financial stability and for protection. All right, because outside of America, Russia is the only second superpower on the earth. You got China, but they're actually under Russia, man. All right. Okay, because they don't operate on their own. Okay. Because Russia, if Russia say we're gonna do this, they get in line with Russia, okay? But all this playing polite and being politically correct with America, Russia, China, North Korea, Syria, all right, Iran, Pakistan, India, Brazil, all right, South Africa, okay? And the Arab Brotherhood, they're calling for America's destruction, man. And they calling for judgment to be placed upon them. All right? So, Isaiah 13:17, it says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. That's right. So, ain't enough money, and enough resources to pay off the Russians, man. Okay? All right? Okay? Because even though Putin is a puppet as well, he's a top servant over the Russian government that serve the elite bankers. They ain't stupid, man. Okay? They ain't stupid. And the Lord is working on the minds of those Russians, man, to put them in that Cold War spirit that they want to kill Americans, man. All right? And take it to you. It says their bows also shall dash the young man to pieces. So yes, they are going to shoot their missiles, man. And when they do, they're going to destroy a whole heap of you Americans, man. Okay? And they're going to be the leaders to lead this destruction to this place, man. All right? So yeah, it's going to be the least of the flock, the Amalekites. They're going to be the ones that get this whole war started. But it's going to be the Russians that end this war. All right? By shooting those missiles. And once they shoot their missiles, all the other nations that have missile capability, they're going to shoot their missiles. Okay? So that's why you see now Putin is not holding back or being diplomatical dealing with the United States. He's being very blunt and straightforward. Because America, the NATO and the EU and the state of Israel is enticing him for war. And the last thing he wants is war. Personally, he don't want war. But the spirit is working on him to call for it. So all right now they just bluffing. In a way they just kind of like bluffing, like, okay, all right. But you can only disrespect somebody too long before they have to actually act on it. So that's what we're looking for. So it said they bows, talking about the missiles, shall dash the young man to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eye shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, talking about America, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, the Chaldees being the which were the ancient magi's and witches, all right, the elite priesthood and authority during the time of the Babylonians. that now it will be your so-called Illuminati, starting with the elite banking families.